We've heard from both the leaders this morning, Tom. Housing a key focus, we know. What did we learn?
Well, it's a contrasting approach to housing in many ways from the two major parties that you heard this morning, Bridget. Labor targeting the deposit and the Coalition talking about what happens after the deposit when you've got your mortgage. That's the main difference. But two key similarities, both of them talking directly to first home buyers, the most popular cohort in the election at the moment. And they're also both facing critiques from economists about whether their plans will push up house prices. And they're both keen to talk about supply. That was the key message from Anthony Albanese, who has to navigate the difficulty that, well, after 3 years in power, they haven't actually managed to build any homes yet out of their Housing Australia Future Fund. But there are plenty of plans to do more of that, including some newly announced ones this week. We heard a little bit from him about the supply side.
What we're doing is dealing with supply as well as demand. The Coalition's plan will push up prices. Our plan will ensure that more homes are built. And what we've seen under my government is 28,000 of those social housing through the Housing Australia Future Fund are either under construction or under planning. What we've seen now is housing approvals up. They were going down when we were elected.
And I suppose, you hear the little clip at Peter Dutton there, but a similar, really, response from him, suggesting that the Coalition's policy for mortgage holders, because the tax deduction applies only to those who buy new homes, that would also add to supply and balance out any effect on the demand side of putting money into the pockets of first home buyers. But Peter Dutton's also talking to a different cohort, those who already own their homes and want to treat them as an asset that will grow in value over time, which is why he was quite happy to say to you this morning, Bridget, that he is happy for house prices to increase steadily and to see housing also as a nest egg.
We want a home to be an asset where you can raise a family, where you can use it as security to the bank if you want to start a small business in the back bedroom or the garage. We want it to be an asset that increases in value as you get toward retirement, and that ultimately one day you can leave to your children as an asset that will help them in their lives. So home ownership is absolutely integral to our culture and to who we are.
So, yeah, you hear there, Bridget, two slightly different messages on housing, but what they are also united in is how much of a focus it is in this campaign. We've been to a few building sites already. I suspect that might be in my near future today, and for Olivia's travelling with Anthony Albanese as well.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to see you in some more high-vis already, looking fetching in the high-vis so far. Tom, where are the campaigns going today and what will be the focus?
Well, as usual, we don't really know much about our itinerary in the morning. It could be any number of seats here in Melbourne for Peter Dutton. We know that he will be here in the city. He's visited 6 marginal seats already, or at least 6 target seats for the Coalition. Some of them Labor, 2 of them teal seats, Goldstein and Kooyong. Very similar demographics to the seat that you're sitting in over in WA in Curtin. Kooyong could be on the list for a visit. Chisholm, Dunkley, there are a couple of others that I might guess just by the fact that they're talked about by the Liberal campaigners, and Peter Dutton hasn't been there yet, so maybe it'll be one of those 3. Meanwhile, Anthony Albanese has been over in Tassie, but both leaders really jetting all around the country this week, setting a cracking pace, because as soon as we head into that Easter weekend, we get pretty close to the early voting deadline. We know they will be in Sydney on Wednesday night for that very exciting ABC election debate in the Parramatta studio up there, hosted by David Spears. Until then, we might have a couple more stops on this whirlwind around the country tour.
Yes. Stay tuned for Wednesday. Tom Crowley in Melbourne, thanks very much.
We want to take you to some breaking news now, and a woman has died after a drive-by shooting in Sydney's southwest overnight. Let's go to our reporter Tani Jash, who is at the scene for us this morning. Tani, what can you tell us?
Yeah, good morning, James. Well, it's been a terrible turn of events here, and as police continue their investigations, details are still emerging as they comb through the property looking for any evidence behind me. Now, what we do know is that emergency services were called to the home here in Ambervale in Sydney's southwest just after 11 p.m. last night after reports a woman had been shot. And when paramedics and police arrived at the scene, they found a 65-year-old 22-year-old woman suffering a gunshot wound to her leg. Now, they tried to treat and save her, but unfortunately she died at the scene. Now, we also know there was a 34-year-old man and a 21-year-old woman who was also home at the time, and luckily they escaped uninjured. Now, it's not quite clear who's behind this attack and if it was targeted or not, but police say that the fatal shooting was carried out after a car fired multiple shots into the home behind me, then drove off. So they're really calling on anyone in the public with information to contact Crime Stoppers as they continue their investigation today.
All right, Tani, thank you for that. And now we want to take you back to the studio and Emma for the latest news headlines.
Thanks, James and Bridget. US President Donald Trump says he will soon introduce tariffs on pharmaceutical product imports, a move that could further strain relations with Australia. His announcement comes after lobbying by US drug makers who've singled out Australia's pharmaceutical benefits scheme as a concern. Speaking in the White House during a visit by El Salvador's president, Mr Trump says pharmaceutical tariffs are coming.
I have a timeline, not too distant future. We're doing it because we want to make our own drugs.
An investigation is underway after an elderly man died when he drove his car into the Parramatta River at Greenwich on Sydney's North Shore. The car struck his elderly wife yesterday while she was standing on the riverbank, knocking her into the water before the car also plunged into the river. The woman was rescued by passers-by and taken to Royal North Shore Hospital with a suspected broken ankle, bruises, abrasions and in shock. A youth mental health survey has found student wellbeing has stabilised or improved slightly since 2019. It's the first time the Resilient Youth State of the Nation report has found improvement among the nearly 150,000 students from 800 schools across Australia who took part. The authority in charge of protecting Aboriginal sacred sites in the Northern Territory says it's investigating allegations of interference with human remains at a site in the Roper Gulf region. The Aboriginal Areas Protection Authority said it installed signage last year warning visitors against entering the site located outside the Lorella Springs pastoral property northwest of Borroloola. The authority is also concerned by reports of helicopters landing on or close to sacred sites. 14 people have been arrested and almost $5 million worth of illicit tobacco seized as part of a week-long operation in Melbourne. Members of Victoria Police, the Tax Office and the Therapeutic Goods Administration targeted 12 tobacco stores across Melbourne. More than 14,500 vapes were also seized. Those arrested are expected to be charged on summons.